Yay, it's working. Okay. Hello, friends. Today I am joined by the one and only Caroline Cheong. How's it going, Caroline?
Good.
So, Caroline is the very last and final member of the ZenMed Summer Incubator. It's crazy. I think we've gone through 9 or 10 students over the last 2.5 months. So, did you get a chance to see any of their interviews, Caroline?
I did.
Nice. Okay, cool. So you kind of know what to expect. But yeah, maybe you can just start off by introducing yourself. Who are you? Where are you from? What are your hobbies? What do you do in your free time, Caroline?
Hi, I'm Caroline, and I'm in ninth grade at Hunter College High School in New York City. And I guess I do debate and robotics for the most part, and I like to do random small things on the side as well.
What kinds of random small things on the side?
I guess it really varies. There's a lot of random. I will decide for a couple months I'm going to be super interested in, let's say, like playing lacrosse or like starting a new project like the one we're going to talk about, or just figuring out other random extracurriculars I want to do around school.
Gotcha. Yes, Caroline is always busy. That's the one thing you need to know about Caroline. Perpetually busy getting things done. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about your initiative. What is it? How did you get the idea? How did it get started? I know there's quite a tale. Maybe you
Yeah.
can share that with the audience.
Okay, so it's kind of a long story. We started off with a completely different idea. But before we get into that, what my final project was the Pen Pal project. And it basically connected students from around the world. I think by the end of the summer, I had reached, I believe, 2 countries and like a crazy amount of states and lots of cities. It's pretty cool. And I would connect these students and send out prompts to them every 2 weeks. And they would either write emails to each other or send. Before we got to all of that fun, jazzy success, we had a lot of difficulties. I had originally started with a project that was basically like a debate camp kind of thing. It was like a tutoring thing because it was going to be me and some other friends, so people around my age, teaching students who are just like a couple years younger. I think we were shooting like 5-ish years younger, but there were some difficulties with getting started, and just basically the way it was going to pan out, and we weren't sure we wanted to take the risk, so we kind of put that on hold for when we were older. But yeah, that's basically the story of how we got there. I had to restart halfway through the incubator. It was great.
Yeah, it was just not stressful at all and just so much fun.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, let's talk a little bit more about the Pen Pal projects. I honestly think it's doubly impressive given the fact that you had such little time to gather customers and you just scrapped this together last minute. I felt like you're like, oh, I have this new idea. Boom. 2 weeks later, you're like, and we have kids in 20 different cities. So how did that even happen? Maybe you can walk us through the timeline for the Pen Pal project because I think it was quite an accelerated timeline. How did you get customers so quickly?
Yeah. Okay, so with the remaining time I had left in the incubator, so it's like about a month and a half, after I did not fail, but like put my original project on hold. I took a really, really long time to get back into it. I think I was super unmotivated and I just kind of didn't want to get started for it to fail again, or to avoid using fail, have to put it on hold again. So I took like 2 weeks to pull it together. And then once I had an idea, Kevin and we sat down for a meeting and we literally just got started. I remember I pitched it to him. I was like, here's my idea. I want to have students send letters to each other. And he was like, great, let's make a form right now. And that's what we did. We made a form in like, 5 to 10 minutes. And I guess totally on me. I took a really long time to build up the guts to actually start sending it out. But I think it was like half a week, and I was like, what am I doing? Why am I waiting? And I just went for it. And what I started with was something I wasn't really sure was going to work out. And I started with Instagram. And
Mm.
this was something Kevin was kind of like, I don't know how effective that is. But I figured since I'm trying to connect students and most of the people that follow me are students because they're just like my friends and their siblings, I figured why not start there? Um, and the first night that I put the form up and told my friends about it, I think I got around 20 signups the first night. And I was so excited.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah. And then after the first night, I kind of stopped working on it because I was like, this is going great. There's nothing I need to do now. But I was pretty wrong. I just sort of realized how much I had to do now that I actually had signups and realized signups were kind of like the thing I was least worried about, to be honest. But I continued, I guess, like posting about it on Instagram, talking to friends about it, talking to my friends' parents about it actually, and also just like reaching out to like random people I didn't really know, but like were in my school or like I kind of knew them, like they were a mutual friend. And it worked out. I ended up with, I believe, somewhere between like 40 and 50 signups in the span of like 2 weeks. So
Whoa, that's so many signups. That's
yeah,
whoa.
I was super excited, but then I had to sort of put the sign up stage on hold so that I could get started with actually getting people to send stuff to each other. Um, so I ended up just pairing them. It was like week two, or end of week two, start of week three, I was starting to email people about the prompts. And gosh, it took me a really long time to figure out how I could send emails to so many different people at the same time. It took me a crazy amount of time to figure that out. But I got it. And once I sent out the first prompt, it was a huge wave of relief that I pulled something off. And from there on, it was kind of just making sure things go smoothly. And on the side, when I'm not like responding to emails about who's my partner or like how do I send mail to them and make sure that like nothing gets broken, which honestly I didn't really have answers for because I'm not really the post office. But when I wasn't responding to those emails, it was a lot of more talking to people and getting people to talk to their friends about like my project. And honestly, that was basically how I did outreach. I relied mostly on people talking to people. And I think that worked out really, really well for me because a lot of people decided, oh, look, my friend is doing it. So why not do it together and we can talk about what kind of letters we're going to send and how pretty our letters are going to be. It was great. And I guess from there, it was close to the end of the week, the month and a half at that point. And I think before the end of the incubator, I had sent out two different prompts or two sets of prompts, and people were getting emails sent. So it's pretty successful.
That's amazing. 40 to 50 signups in 2 weeks. Wow, you can't even make this up. Well, what would you say was your proudest moment when it came to the Pen Pal project?
Um, I don't know. I think the entire experience was pretty rewarding. If I had to pick one moment, it would probably be the day after I sent out the first, first posted about it on Instagram. I remember I was golfing actually, and I kind of checked my phone. I was like, hey, I wonder how it's doing. And then I saw like I had like 25 signups, and I was like, that's kind of crazy. I barely did anything, and it kind of worked out.
That's so cool. Wow. Well, what advice do you have to other entrepreneurs? Maybe I'll ask you one or two more questions and we can wrap this up. But yeah, if you were giving advice to, let's say, Caroline from like a few months ago, a year ago, what would you tell her?
Get out of your head. Things aren't as scary as they seem.
Mm,
And even if things go badly, so what? Who cares? I took a really long time to realize that it doesn't have to be a super perfect plan before you start doing it. You kind of, things are going to change no matter what you do and how well your plan is. So I guess just don't worry about making sure you're going to know what you're going to do, who's going to be looking at your product or your service, and kind of just sit out there and let it figure itself out. Just be there to guide it and make sure it doesn't, you're actually paying attention to it and you're not just, I guess what I'm saying, don't just let it do its thing on its own, but like let it do its thing on its own. Like make sure you're watching over what's happening and what's working out for you, but don't force things to work if you are noticing that nothing is working out. I'm
Gotcha.
not sure that's great advice though.
Okay, it makes sense. I definitely understand it given your circumstance. It
Yeah.
was a lot of Caroline was very caught up in her head, like she was saying, and it can be very paralyzing once you're in that mental framework. But focusing more on the outside world and just action, right? Like actually doing something, right? Like make a form, send the form, do something, do one thing that pushes, we say, pushing the needle forward every day on your initiative, and you'll get there. But
Yeah.
yeah, what about any plans for the future, Caroline? I know you mentioned that you handed off the Pen Pal project to a friend, but are you thinking about any other initiatives in the coming months or years, or what's your plan?
So I did hand off Pen Pal project to a friend, and I'm thinking I actually recently got this idea and got super excited about it. But I am planning on like perhaps starting something for 2021, and it's kind of going to be a project mostly for my community and not really as large scale, so not national, not international, or at least to get there it would take a much longer time. But
Mm,
I do want to start something helping the environment and using my interest in, I guess, uh, upcycling clothing. And I want to sort of take that and help people with it. And I do already have a couple people who are excited to get this started. So I'm super ready for my new project.
wow, that's crazy. When are you launching?
Ooh, that might take, I'm hoping like mid January,
Whoa, that's
because
pretty soon. Yeah.
it is pretty soon. But I think this time what I want to do is really just get started. Don't think or overthink about it. And we all got to start small. It's not, I'm not going to immediately expect like 100 people are going to do this with me, and maybe just 10. And even if they're just my friends, you know, we'll make it work
Yeah.
and we'll just get started right away.
Nice. Okay. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me, Caroline. Caroline is a freaking stormtrooper out here. The first initiative didn't go as planned, and she so magically pulled another one out of thin air. 40, 50 signups, no problem, while she was golfing. So yeah, we can all learn a page or two, take a page or two from Caroline's book. Honestly, it's a matter of working smarter rather than just harder. I don't think that your project was like, right, you weren't like toiling away at it 10 hours a day. It was not as crazy as it seemed, not as challenging or scary either as it seemed. So thank you so much for sharing your experience, Caroline. That concludes the Zen Inspiration Generation series. So I'll have to think of some other videos to share with you guys on this channel. But thank you guys for tuning in. We'll catch you at the next one. Peace.